What's the worst financial decision you've seen someone make? Put everything in his GF's name to hide assets as he owed the IRS. The GF sold his business, cashed out his accounts and ran. A dude who owned a small convenience store in our town spent like $20,000 on fidget spinners. He was posting for like a year begging people to buy them as he would lose his business and his marriage was falling apart due to it. My former sister-in-law had a thriving medical practice. She got so stressed that she joined the Scientologists and started taking their classes. She opened up 5-6 credit cards without telling my brother, maxed the cards out with hundreds of thousands in cash withdrawals, and gave it to that cult. A guy in my fraternity got $30K for an undisclosed reason. I'm guessing a family death or something, and he bet it all on the Yankees winning one game. They lost. Apply for a $5K loan. Didn't accept quick enough, so applied for another $5K loan. Both got accepted and ended up gambling it all. My supervisor took out a loan against their 401k to pay their rent because their credit cards were maxed. 2 weeks later, they bought a brand new $60K Lincoln with basically nothing down because her daughter just had a baby and I need a bigger car for that. My brother's ex fell for a Craigslist scam. She found a motorcycle and the guy needed money up front to pay bills before she even saw it. We told her don't do it. It's a scam. She said she already sent $1,000. Of course. He was never available to show her the bike, and we found out from my brother after they broke up. She actually continued sending him money in hopes of getting the motorcycle. I think she was out $3,000 by the end. My awful aunt was the trustee for my grandparents' estate. When they passed, she decided to sell their house to a random realtor who put a leaflet on the door. To the realtor. Not with the realtor. It wasn't put on the market. And the aunt rejected a matching offer by me after I argued hard to actually list the house and have people bid on it. The realtor slapped a new coat of paint on it and sold it a couple of months later for literally $1 million more than she bought it for. My cousin spent 100% of her inheritance and took out a lien on her home to buy a second home in the mountains. Thing is, it was being pushed over by a mountain. And they thought they could fix it. I went and seen it, and every door jamb was crooked and the doors wouldn't shut. They took me down into the basement and they were trying to use I-beams to stop the mountain from pushing on the home. I was just like, what the hell are you doing? That won't solve anything. Fast forward 6 months and they asked me for $50K to help and I declined. Fast forward a year and the home collapsed, and now they owe over $300K plus for a home that doesn't exist, and if they don't make the payments they lose their other house too because they used the original home as collateral and could not get insurance on the second home. Total money lost upwards of $700K. Ran up credit card debt requiring bankruptcy. Once they were able to build credit again, 7 years later, they proceeded to run up a massive amount of debt again, but couldn't go bankrupt again. So they used debt consolidation. The debt didn't come from sudden expenses. They just needed to buy things to feel better. Cashed in their 401k to have a cocaine party. A friend of mine who is very bad with money and his girlfriend bought some sort of water filtration system from a door-to-door salesman. He has to pay something like $300 per month for this filtration system. He was all stoked because it came with a free set of pots and pans. Fast forward a year and his girlfriend has broken up with him, moved out of the house, and he's had to sell his home because he can't afford to live there. The water filtration system is now sitting in a storage unit where he still pays $300 per month for it, because he's on a 2 or 3 year contract. Sorry, the details are fuzzy. We have great water quality in my area. A coworker I used to have worked every second of overtime he could for several years to save up for a house. When he applied for the house loan, he based his mortgage payment on all of the overtime he had been working. I tried to tell him that wasn't a good idea, but he didn't want to hear it. He ended up divorced a few years later because his wife got tired of him always working. A guy the first dated for a short time had been joining a MLM scheme selling insurances. I listened to his monologue and told him I had no money. He was furious and tried to sell insurance to our waiter at the restaurant. He failed again. I'm still laughing today. He was no good guy. Worked with a 50-year-old guy who looked like the ass end of a rhino and hated anyone not from England who sent £10,000 to his fiancée in Thailand who he'd never met for a boob job, clothes and flight over. Oddly enough, her naked pics and promises of anal when she visited stopped once the money had been sent. I bought a Hellcat when my old badass Challenger was paid off. My brother and his wife were in massive debt, didn't work high-paying jobs and could no longer afford their 2-bedroom apartment while trying to pay off the debt. They moved back home, into our parents' basement. A week before they moved in, they built a computer. And a year after that, they consciously decided to try to get pregnant, which they did, while still living in the basement and knowing they haven't improved their financial state whatsoever. They got married to someone heavily in debt. The person kept their financial situation from them until after they were married. My dad had his own company and someone told him it made financial sense that instead of paying himself wages, he should take out a loan from his company. He built up debt for 3 years while working full-time, rather than paying himself. It had all sorts of bad tax effects. Like he was required to pay interest on this, which was then taxed as profit of the company. Then he paid himself again paying income taxes. It took him about 10 years to get out of that hole. Then he needed to sell his house because it was too expensive. But the buyer got cold feet on the last day before the sale. Rather than having the buyer pay 10% of the price to get out of the sale, he gave him an extension without an end date. The buyer then took 2 years to think about whether he wanted the house. All the while my parents needed to keep paying the mortgage and couldn't sell the house to anyone else because of the contract they had with that guy. Brought them close to bankruptcy. I've personally paid a couple of $100 a month to let them pay for the mortgage during that time. Someone took a loan to order a pizza.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.